Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel Trash on the Stack. Today we are going over the official preview the Wizards of the Coast did for the new set Dragonstorm, Tarkir.
Dragons.
We got Dragons. Yeah, we've got a couple cards we want to talk about. Obviously there was a lot. We're not going to be able to get to everything because we'll probably disagree on everything like we did for 20 minutes before we actually started recording this video.
even though we agreed,
Even though we agreed, it felt like a debate.
Okay.
arguing the same side.
I have to win every conversation.
That's fair. All right, first up, Will, why don't you start us off?
All right, what up? I'm Will. I have Zurgo Storm Renderer. It's a 3/3 Orc Warrior, legendary creature for Mardu, red, white, black. It has the Mobilize mechanic, Mobilize 1. Whenever this creature attacks, create a tapped and attacking 1/1 red warrior creature token. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. Whenever a creature token you control leaves the battlefield, draw a card if it was attacking. Otherwise, each opponent loses 1 life. So, this is what we were discussing for 20 minutes before this. If the token dies while it's attacking, when does it stop attacking?
When are you done attacking?
Yeah, that's what we were kind of hung up on. But I think it kind of works like Reconnaissance.
Yeah, because my example was Reconnaissance, because Reconnaissance essentially gives creatures pseudo-vigilance. You can respond to the end of combat and then use that ability after damage is dealt. So if I'm looking at this card, I'm attacking with 5 tokens, I deal you 5 damage, and then sack them after damage is dealt. I'm still getting the card draw if they don't block.
It's just
I think so, yeah.
Like 5 cards just for attacking. Even let's even go to like 2 cards.
Yeah.
That if you can sack, you don't even have to do a sack. If they just die in combat, that's 2 cards.
Even 1 card, because if you have something like we were talking about Goblin Bombardment, Visceracy, or anything, right, that just gives you more value for sacrificing anyway, you not only get to do that, which is already powerful depending on what your sack outlay is, you also get to draw. So Visceracy, scry 1, put it on the bottom, draw the next card, right? Or draw the card that you scried or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that can be pretty powerful. And obviously, we're assuming it synergizes with itself, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of how we figured out what it probably should do or how it should work.
Yeah, because it makes a 1/1 when it attacks, and then the other part is if it wasn't otherwise, meaning if it wasn't attacking, each opponent loses 1 life. So you have to sacrifice the 1/1 at the end of turn, so you would make everybody lose 1 life.
Yeah.
And it's whenever.
Not
whenever any.
Yeah.
A token.
Every
It doesn't
one
have
of
to be the
them.
one it
Right.
makes.
A creature, so...
So
creature
Mardu
token.
Aristocrat token shenanigans. What up? I think it's good. I do believe it's the backup commander for the
Mardu
deck.
commander deck. Yeah.
But I'm excited for
Yeah, should be pretty
It's gonna be
interesting, I
so-
think. Next up, we've got Ugin, Eye of the Storms. Art looks pretty sick. It's the thumbnail for this video, by the way. Legendary Planeswalker Ugin. When you cast a spell, exile up to 1 target permanent that's 1 or more colors. Whenever you cast a colorless spell, exile up to 1 target permanent that's 1 or more colors.
I don't.
So it's
not even done reading.
I know,
it
It's
yet.
I'm not
plus,
even
Not
plus
even
2
done.
abilities. You gain 3 life and draw a card, which is great. 0 abilities, add 3 colorless mana, which is absolutely insane. And its ultimate, -11. Search your library for any number of colorless non-land cards, exile them, then shuffle. Until end of turn, you may cast those cards without paying their mana costs.
How many loyalties you start at?
7.
Starts at 7. Yep, he's a 7
He
drop.
costs 7.
Starts at 7. Yep. Jason was already drooling about putting him in his colorless deck.
Yep. But like, do you guys think he's better than like OG Ugin? Like, yeah, he comes into play. He gets rid of 2 things. I mean, the original Ugin was so good is because it essentially was a board wipe, right? You can -6 and it would kill everything.
That second static ability that was pretty nasty. Whenever you cast a colorless
spell, you cast a mana rock, you exile stuff.
I mean, yeah, but he does cost 7.
Or
That's
an exile.
what I was
cost
going to ask you.
I
So,
mean,
well,
But I've seen you get to turn 2.
There you go.
have
That's true.
12, sir.
Oh, he costs 7.
that's what I was going to ask. Was like, how hard is it to get to 7 colorless?
Not at all.
Because
Yeah.
that second ability
Yeah.
of now I have colorless, like not storm, but every spell I cast is
Yeah.
alt, like
Yeah.
basically as an alt
Sure.
on his body when he starts.
Yeah, you can run less removal,
Yeah.
right? Pack
Yeah.
it with more value cards because every colorless spell you cast is now removal.
Because isn't OG Ugin 8 or is he 7?
And
He's 7.
you know what?
Is
Not only is he 7 here. Sorry, OGU, keep going. You're good. You're
No,
good.
you go.
I
for
think
it.
it's 7 with 7 loyalty. So it could be wrong.
Check this out. He comes in 7 loyalty. His 0 gives him a 3 colorless discount.
Yeah.
So now he's floated 7. He costs 7. He gives you 3.
Yeah.
You can now cast something right
True.
away.
Sure.
Whoa!
That is
Soul
true.
Ring, Arcane
And for
Signet.
that, he will get a D plus.
Right, like
Yeah.
Soul Ring, Arcane Signet.
You-
So
you just
basically,
cast,
the turn
like-
you play him, you're removing 3
Yeah.
potentially, right?
could,
because
if
he's
you-
giving you
I
3
mean-
colorless.
Yeah, if you
So-
have,
Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, any of these mana rocks, right?
yeah.
Do you think
It's-
he's limited to just colorless decks then? Or maybe like a Bosch?
Ooh, good
Right.
question.
I
Like, I don't think I'd
mean-
put him in any deck that has colors
That's
because
fair.
it's too limited to me. You're paying 7 mana to get the first trigger, hoping you grab a mana rock. It's 7 mana, so you're playing most of your mana rocks in
Yeah.
the game anyway.
Artifact deck for
I
sure.
was gonna say, I
Right.
think he would go in
Artifact, yeah.
artifacts, like not
Like your
multicolor artifacts.
Duretti deck.
Duretti
Yes.
would be
Oh,
for
really good.
sure.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
going
so
in.
gross.
If
Yeah.
I pull
There's
him,
that
for
Rakdos
sure.
guy that's like the better Bosch.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that would be really
Those-
cool, but
I think the more colors you start adding, the less good he gets.
Yeah.
Any
I definitely would
So it
not
has to
put
be, like,
him.
just artifact deck.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
or limited colors, right? Like if you're running any kind of Cheerio thing or a bobble deck or
Yeah,
anything
if
like that,
you're-
right?
if you're
Like I've got a
just-
Dargo Jessica Thrice Reborn that has 40 0-drop artifacts
Yeah.
in it.
Eldrazi. Is it Eldrazi?
Eldrazi. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
Oh.
yeah.
I think in a lot of cases where you run the OG Ugin, you can run this Ugin.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
say, right?
Is
I don't know that I would swap it.
Is it
I would maybe
better?
add him,
Right.
I
but
don't know.
I don't know
if
that
it's better because I don't. I've never used the OG Ugin because I've never had it. 'Cause I'm broke as a joke, yo.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Next up,
Draco Genesis. You may cast dragon spells without paying their mana costs.
It's a
8-drop,
8 mana enchantment.
6
8
red,
mana.
red. Yep.
Yep, 6 red enchantment. Now I want to preface this. When I first read this card, I thought this was a 100% trap card.
Get you.
I'm like, it's not that great. I mean, you're gonna puke out your hand. Someone's gonna board wipe, and then dragon tribal. I don't think they're drawing a lot of cards.
Yep.
And then I reread the card, and
Mhm.
you can play. It doesn't have a stipulation on it like omniscience. You can play your commander like Tiamat, and then just win the game.
Whew.
Yeah.
The point, the thing with I put in chat earlier today about rooftop storm.
Storm. Yeah.
Okay, so I think that costs 8. I don't
No,
know.
it costs 6.
6.
Okay,
It's
costs
4
6.
blue.
Zombies for
Mhm.
free, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And zombies, I'm guessing on average are like CMC 3, 4, 5. Dragons 4, 5, 6, right?
6,
4, 5,
7, 8.
6,
Yeah.
7, 8.
Right. Yeah.
That's the only. So like, is the 2 mana difference good enough? Like, because Rooftop Storm has played in most zombie decks. Am I
No,
maybe?
Demir-
Demir, well,
Am I crazy?
I mean-
Demir zombie decks, right?
Okay.
Like you
Yeah.
run it in your Wilhult and
I do, but
Yeah.
it's not really that because most zombies are a lower mana cost. So
Right.
like if you
If
get
you're not drawing,
if you get it out, it's like you're already most likely.
ahead anyway.
Yeah,
and
it's like
zombie
it's
decks, you're
just-
able to usually get stuff from your graveyard.
Yeah,
And
and that's
That's
So
fair.
win more cards.
yeah.
right.
Which
Yeah.
I think this card is you win the game card.
This is
Yeah.
this is a win con. I feel like you don't have this out longer than one turn. Like you need
it's a remove on site for sure. Yeah.
Like if
yeah.
they're if they're not able to take care of it, then okay. But I feel like you play this card and then you're able to just punch face.
would you
so
rather
hard.
spend 8 mana on that or 8 mana on like a dragon?
I would rather spend 8 mana on this because then I can play that dragon for
That's like
free.
2 dragons.
Yeah. I mean, if you
I'm gonna dog the
yeah.
dragons.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about card slots it's taking, right? Because
Sure.
I've got like 4 cards that are that expensive.
It goes in the
that any deck
99 of a
maybe.
dragon deck that runs red, 100%.
Yeah.
I don't think. I mean,
I mean, it costs less than the Dragon.
I was gonna
That's
say,
fair.
Yeah.
You play that for free.
Yeah.
Mhm.
that's fair.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
I really dig those borders. What were those called?
Oh, what are they? Draconic
Yeah.
borders. They do look pretty sick.
With that art, it looks like that
Yeah.
whole dragon just around the whole.
Yeah.
Oof, that's
It
so
looks
cool.
good, and they've done similar finishes in the past, right? So there's what's the blue white? it'll be here because the magic of editing.
We'll
but
forget.
they've done similar types of finishes like that on some
There
of
was
the other
the-
dragon cards.
Was it the Call Time one?
I was gonna say
Yeah,
the
maybe.
Kalheim.
They had like
the Nordic.
the Nordic theme.
Yeah. But it looks kind of, to me, it looks similar. Next up, Zach, this is one of the ones that you wanted to talk about.
So this is Narset Jeskai Waymaster. Jeskai colors, so blue, red, white for a 3/4. She's a legendary creature, human monk. And at the beginning of your end step, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw cards equal to the number of spells you've cast this turn. So this is like, I read these cards and I do not like spell slinging as like a theme. It's just not interesting for me.
It's not dirtily enough.
It's not dirty enough. But I'm drawing cards here for casting spells.
And Zach loves to draw.
And I love to draw cards.
That's the best thing to do.
It is.
Mhm.
So in this, I'm going, okay, I cast 3 1-mana spells, right? Let's just say.
And it's spells, so it doesn't have to be essence or sorcery.
Right.
Right.
It can be anything. I don't have to
Cheerios.
spell sling. You can do
Cheerios.
anything.
Yeah.
I didn't think
Put
about
Mugen
that.
in there.
You could.
There you go.
Mugen's free.
Yeah.
So, and then you just reload your hand though. Like that part's disgusting, especially if you think about cards that draw you multiple cards.
Mm.
So you cast think twice and bounce it. Or I'm trying to think of what
You run Vinwixt in here.
Yeah.
right.
Turn
And
him
now
on.
Yeah.
you're netting cards every turn.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a
Well,
that's a
and-
dream card.
And you're in Jeskai, so you have all of the little cantrip cards.
Mhm.
Like any feather, like feather would be good in here.
Yes.
Mhm.
It's just Cheerios and cantrips.
I think
Yeah.
the best part about her, it's she's a 3/4 for 3, with relevant creature type, so human monk. But the abilities may.
Right.
It isn't you have to,
Mhm.
Yeah.
because it's so you can essentially just use her for value for on turn 3, or pop off when you have the ability to storm off.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
You just drew 14 cards last turn and you don't make it all the way through. You
Yep.
can be like,
Yeah.
I'll-
You have a consecrated
I'm good
sphinx
for now.
out,
I'm
and
good.
Jason's playing Quain, and you've drawn 3/4 of your deck already.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
I hope that I'm overhyped on that. I hope it's not that good because I'm worried that's going to be like
mean,
a
it seems
mainstay.
Drawing
good.
is always value, though. It's
Yeah.
not. It's going to be good.
And it only costs 3, and
Yeah.
she doesn't have to attack or anything, so like she doesn't have to be in danger.
Right.
That's my card
So
call for like sleeper card of the set so far.
Yeah.
That I think that's
I
going to
could see
be
that.
Yeah, I could see that.
just
It's not a remove
disgusting.
on site,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Until somebody plays you once and they're like, "Oh,
yeah.
I remember how the last game went. I have
Yeah,
to
right.
remove that right now." But yeah, no, I think there's a lot of value there. So that one looks pretty cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Jason, you want to talk about Taval?
Yeah, Taval, the balance scale. It's a 1 colorless, black, green, blue, legendary creature, spirit dragon. It's a 4/4, has flying. Whenever Taval attacks, mill 3 cards. Then you may return a land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. And then whenever 1 or more cards leave your graveyard, create a 2/2 black zombie druid creature token.
Mm.
In those colors, that does literally everything you want.
I was gonna say
Right.
that's just
Yeah.
It makes dredge better. It makes reanimation better. It makes it easier. If you guys don't know, it makes the 2/2 black zombie druid creature token, and there's
With
a card
druid?
called Guilt Leaf. I think it's Guilt Leaf Archdruid,
yeah.
which is tap 7 druids, and you take control of target player's land base.
Oh,
God.
Yeah.
That card was before that was released. I think that card was less than $1.
Okay, let's start buying up.
we'll have to-
Oh, they're
yeah,
already.
they're
So-
probably already
Yeah,
up.
Jason
Yeah,
already
probably.
got them all.
Yeah, he bought all of them.
He's a
24.
shark.
Yeah, I did buy
I did buy
24.
24.
Just an investment. It's no big deal.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, in that color or in those colors, it does everything you want it to do, right? So you're doing self-mill. Returning a land card from your graveyard to the battlefield is never a bad thing. Whenever 1 or more cards leave your graveyard, assuming that also counts land, right?
Yeah.
That you can return from the graveyard to that. So its own
Yeah.
ability.
Sire Conrad
Its
is
own ability.
Yeah,
Druids,
you're making a 2/2 black zombie druid creature token.
So when I saw this, I first read it. I was like, "Isn't there a Sidisi that's just like this?" And I think that Sidisi is when a card leaves your graveyard, you make a 2/2 zombie, and when you attack with her, you mill. It's something like that. But
yeah.
but the thing, even if that's it, and I'm sorry if I've got it wrong, you don't
It'll
get
be
to
here.
grab a land
No.
for free from
Yeah.
her.
No.
So I think this is a straight upgrade to that Sidisi. I hope I'm wrong. But
Yeah, the CMC is not bad either.
No.
Honestly, it's one of
4/4
the
for 4 with
it's one of
flying.
the
Yeah, it's-
cheaper dragons in the set that I saw.
Like, take away everything. Like, take away the zombie ability. A 4/4 for 4 with flying that you mill
whenever it
attacks.
attacks,
Yeah.
and
return
you
a land.
That by
Without
itself
that, that's a good
Yeah.
card.
is good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The
Oh.
zombie token is just like added extra. It's
Yeah.
like
Yep.
So downside, this is interesting. I wonder why they did this. It doesn't say when it comes into play or attacks. And they've
Right.
done that a lot lately.
Yeah.
You know, so you get
Sure.
something for free. I wonder why that
they
was
want
the decision
to
they made.
push people to attack more.
Oh, instead of just like
Yeah,
turtle
they
stuff.
they don't want people to just sit there for 3
Yeah.
hours.
Oh, I
They
mean,
want-
sure.
If it was
the-
ETB, you're essentially getting 2 triggers of land. I think that's too much land acceleration.
Yeah.
You'll
Oh,
be
yeah.
up 2, to your opponents.
That's fair.
And then I also think it's a little fair because it's whenever 1 or more. So you can't
Yeah.
just like exile your
Yeah.
whole graveyard and I have an army.
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
It's also a little bit fair because it comes in tapped, right? So you make your land drop. You're not like David who puts few 2 lands in his deck and is always missing by turn 3 or 4. At least it's coming in tapped, right? But still, you've got ramp on a card, self mill on a card, token creation on a card,
And it flies.
and it's a 4-drop,
Yeah.
and it
Everything-
flies.
not-
Everything what Sultai wants to do, I think.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
yeah.
I think
You're right. Good card.
yeah.
Next up, we've got Nariv, Crackling Vanguard. So 2 in a Mardu, red, blue, black, legendary creature, spirit dragon, flying and death touch. When Nariv enters, create 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens. Whenever he attacks, exile a number of cards from the top of your library equal to the number of differently named tokens you control. During any turn you attacked with a commander, you may play those cards, and it's a 4/4. I immediately saw this and I was like, this has to go in Zach's Mr. House deck
Yeah.
Mhm.
because you're creating food
Just
and
all sorts of
junk
just
and
junk.
yeah.
Yeah.
How I mean, in Mardu anyway, if you're building a token generation Mardu deck, are you going to benefit that much? Are you creating that many different tokens unless you're Zach?
I mean, you can create a lot because red has goblins, white has soldiers,
You've got
black has zombies.
zombies.
That's 3
right,
right
but
there.
is it too much for a 100
Check,
card deck?
check it out. Check it
I
out.
don't think so.
Let's say you play no tokens. Nothing. First off, makes tokens.
Yeah,
Second, just for attacking, you get to exile the top card off of your deck.
right. Just off the goblins,
Just off
right?
this
Because
guy,
they're
right?
not. It doesn't even need to be differently named.
You've got a goblin, you've got a treasure on the battlefield, probably, and then let's say another creature, right? We're exiling 3. We'll do 2 conservatively. 2 cards every turn for attacking with your commander. That's
True.
that's powerful, and he has death touch, which means you're
I was
gonna
gonna
be able to
say-
attack a lot.
He's a 4/4
True.
for 5 flying death touch.
Woo!
That by
Yeah. That's fair.
I do think that is one of the is exiling a card that good? Like, is it that good?
Yeah,
In Mardu colors, it's basically card draw.
yeah.
I was I
But
think
As
it's,
close as you get.
Yeah.
and you just have to attack. It's not deal damage.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean the death touch protects it too, right? So like, in terms of attacking, and yeah, you don't have to create damage, but you do have to attack. And there's
Yeah.
always with cards that have an attack trigger, like, well, everybody's got stuff out. Is the value enough to warrant losing my dragon, right?
And it says basically it's written in that says even if your dragon dies, you get to play your exiled cards this turn. Right?
Right.
Like that's
Yeah.
so it's they kind of were ready for that too, for that argument of like, well, I don't know if I want to attack and now my whole engine's stalled.
Right.
Attack, brother. Like you're gonna get cards off this. Like
Yeah.
go in.
And they
Yeah,
don't go
yeah.
away. You can just keep
Yeah,
them there.
yeah.
Whenever you
Right.
can.
Because I think it doesn't matter if you have cards exiled and it dies. It comes out, it attacks. I think you
It's
can
just
play
whenever
the
your commander
previous.
attacks, you can play that.
Yeah.
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 Oh, that's true.
So,
So it's not even like until end of turn, and then they
Yeah.
go
They
permanently
just
in exile.
go into a pile
Yeah.
that you can play.
I mean, I don't
from.
know how many times you're recasting a 5-drop dragon commander,
Not
but
that much.
I
with the
mean,
free dragon
yeah.
spells.
With
not
the
running green
dragons.
with no ramp.
Yeah,
is-
Mardu ramp. That's the thing,
Mardu
right?
But you
Right.
play treasures. Like
Well, yeah.
this is the
Yeah, that's
this is a
Mardu Ramp.
perfect like a Revel in
Mother-
Riches deck.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway, plunder. I mean, you run all the treasure cards in there too, probably.
my dream, there's 436 different kinds of tokens in Magic.
Good gourd.
There's something like that, like half that for Mardu. The dream is to be able to have as many out as possible. Kill yourself by exiling every card in your deck. That's what I want to do with that.
You should try to do it.
You
I
would.
don't see why you wouldn't.
You
I don't see
would.
why you wouldn't. Will, you want to read this one, and we'll talk about the set in
This-
general.
All right, so we have our first siege, Frostcliff Siege. It's an enchantment, 1 red and blue. When it enters, choose Jeskai or Teamer. The Jeskai is whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. Teamer is creatures you control get +1/+0 and have trample and haste. Ooh.
All right, so this is one of my picks. I just like the siege cycle in general, right?
Yeah.
You've got the monocolored siege cycle, which is, for me, there's
Conjure
value
dragons,
there,
yeah.
right? Like, there's not tons of value. I don't run it in every deck that has black or red or,
But I mean, Outpost Siege.
I mean, the
I'll
red
play
one,
it.
Yeah.
you put it in.
Yeah.
You put it in every mono red deck you have.
So from a value perspective, I really like. I think that there's just value there, right? Like I'm running this in. Well, I'll definitely run it in my Miram Sentinel Worm, right? Dragon deck, but it has nothing to do with dragons, right? Like you run it in that color pairing probably no matter what, just for value.
How many times are you picking Jeskai? The top one. How many times for real? How many times are you picking that?
I mean, I like to draw.
One card.
Yeah. I mean, there's things that do it better. Don't get me wrong, right?
I'm more saying I love the modal,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm-
I like options. It's
but it's got to
value.
be like
yeah.
a 90% teamer, right?
That trample
Sure.
haste.
Yeah.
If it was just trample, like +1/+0 and trample, I think I would still be picking Teamer over Jeskai.
I mean, depends the deck. You're playing.
Yeah,
You're
that's
playing.
true.
You're playing blue. You're dealing with a lot of flyers. I personally would always pick Jeskai. I think
Really?
card draw is always the way to go. But like the trample, right? It's
And
Yeah.
haste.
Yeah.
Every creature you
Well,
play has haste now.
So
It's a-
my
it's a
point is
rebel-
when you draw it and you go to play it,
You're right.
you've
Okay.
got options
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
least,
It's a
right?
toolbox.
So if you are down on your land drops, David, right?
Okay. I
I'm
see.
drawing.
I get
I'm
it.
drawing because
that's
I'm
true.
digging
That's
You're
for
right.
one of the 25 lands I put in my deck. So I just like value
We gotta
in
stop
general.
making show decks. Is the problem?
Zach,
Oh, yeah. So this is Meringue River Regent. It's 6 mana. It's actually 2 different mana costs, but we'll talk about it in a second. It's 6 mana for the creature portion of it. It's got flying. It's a dragon. Sorry, it has flying. When this creature enters, return up to 2 other non-land permanents to their owner's hands. It's a 6/7. So comes into play, bounces 2 things. Specifically non-lands. You
Yep.
can bounce your own stuff. So that's
could,
kind of
yeah.
fun. The interesting thing on this is, and we all did it. We went, oh, it has adventure,
right?
but they have a new kind of type of card called an omen. So it has an additional kind of mini card on it called Coil and Catch. It's 4 mana, so a 3 and a blue instant. Draw 3 cards, then discard a card. And here's what makes Omen interesting: then shuffle this card into its owner's library.
So it's not an adventure.
Right, you're homeward bounding your cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about the
You're kinda
bouncing
like-
your own stuff. I'm definitely putting this in my blink deck. This is one of the ones I chose, and you can tell which ones I choose versus which ones the other guys choose because theirs are better than mine. For me, it is similar to the sieges. It's value, right? So there's more value on a single card when you have this omen ability, adventure ability, whatever you want to call it. If you're in a pickle, again, I miss my lane drops. I'm going to draw 3 cards, discard a card, cast from, and shuffle it in, right?
Yeah.
If I'm in a spot where I need a blocker, or Will and Zach and Jason have all their big flying dragons out, I'm probably casting the flying dragon. I'm interested in what the other ones look like. I mean, this one's fine, right? A 6/7 flying, you get to bounce 2 things, your own or somebody else's. For 6 is not bad. There's not like a crazy amount of value in that.
Mhm.
For me, it's the modality, right?
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
options.
There's got to be
enjoy
a way.
options.
Yeah, I mean, whenever a card can do more than one thing, right? Even just like modal, sorcery, or instant
Well,
cards,
it just
right?
makes you feel good that you never really have a dead card.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like if the board is like, someone's just board wipe after board wipe after board wipe, you're like, well, I'm not going to play this dragon. I'm going to draw 3 cards.
And shuffle it away.
Shuffle it back
and then
in.
maybe possibly draw it again later.
Oh,
Right.
You just hit on 2 really neat things. I'm playing hand destruction. I can instance this out of my hand and essentially hide that creature.
Mhm.
Not like the craziest thing,
Yeah.
but utility. And then there's got to be a way to break I've cast Coil and Catch in Commander multiple times. That specific spell.
Right.
There's got to be a way to play with that too.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see what the other ones are, how many there even are of it, to see if there are, ones that have a better Omen ability. This one's fine, right? Draw 3 cards, discard a card.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't care about breaking that too much, right? Like, okay, I cast it 20 times and draw myself out in Lab Man or Jace Wielder Mysteries or something. Sure, right? But I'll be interested to see, what the green or black or red, if there is a whole cycle of them. I don't know yet. This is just the one that came up. What abilities the other ones have, right? I mean, they'll be color specific. Blue, bounce, makes sense, right? Is the black going to be spot removal and the red be,
Red's got to be damage.
I think with the spell though, 4 mana instant. I think normally if they print this card, you're looking at it being a sorcery. Yeah. You're looking at drawing 3 cards at 4 or 5 mana. Probably more than 4.
Right.
I mean, you're drawing 3, discarding 1, so you're up a card and you get 3 cards of selection.
And you didn't thin your deck. Like that spell still exists.
Yeah.
Like you didn't.
Right.
That's a relevant
draw
thing
it later.
sometimes.
So
yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm looking forward to those.
Yeah. Should be interesting anyway.
So I think one of the last things we're going to talk about is the full art lands.
Oh
With
yeah.
the Dragon Eye. Those ones
These do look
you have
awfully
to
sick.
you have to get colorless, because that one
I know,
think
right?
looks that one is I don't.
Well, I was debating like, do they only go in dragon decks? Like what it looks.
Interesting.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Do you? Yeah. What's the? I guess it's a good question.
like they'll look sweet in a dragon deck, but if
Yeah.
I'm playing, I don't know, anything that I play and there's just eyeballs, that's my
Right,
lands,
yeah.
it doesn't really
I
make sense,
mean, I think they look pretty cool in Quain.
They would look pretty
Just
cool in
rabbit
Quain.
eyes.
Yeah.
So yeah, Magic Fashion, right? Is
Yeah.
it too late to put Dragon Eyes in your deck if it's fall? Like if it's the fall season, are you allowed?
It
to...
is after like if it's
Yes.
after Labor Day. Do we
No white ones.
No
Yeah.
white
But
Dragon Eyes
that's a good
after
que-
Labor Day.
There is something a little bit like knick-knacky about I have Phyrexian lands and dragon eyeballs.
I was just
Like,
gonna
there's-
say we could have a whole podcast on Jason being upset when lands don't match.
Oh, yeah. Or just you play a white border land and you
Have some pride in your deck.
I will run everything in one white border basic
all of them are white border.
for Will anyway.
It's great.
All right, guys, thanks for
All right.
stopping by. Hopefully, this gives you some ideas on how to break some stuff. Unfortunately, you will not be able to buy those druids because Jason bought them all up.
Yep.
Looking forward to playing the set, though. Make sure you tune in,
Yeah.
subscribe to the channel. We'll be doing probably at least a couple games on Dragonstorm, I would imagine. We've already started deck building, so look forward to that. See everybody later.
See ya.
See ya.